Hi, I'm Daniel, and I saw the new film on Disney Plus, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. It's based off an old Disney afternoon show with the same name that I haven't watched much of. I get the point and style of it, and it's actually one of the only old shows still cropped on Disney Plus. However, this isn't just a reboot of the older show, it's about the actors and writers of the real people Chip and Dale. It takes place in a world where animated characters really exist. I wasn't going to watch the movie seeing it announced, and there was already a Disney Plus Chip 'n Dale Park last year, yeah. That was fine but forgettable. But the trailers revealed this to be a meta reference filled film, and I was intrigued. I wasn't confident it would be good, but I gave it a watch. Is this actually a good movie, or does it need rescuing? I'm sorry for that, I just needed a way to transition from opening to the review. The story starts showing how Chip and Dale met and what led to their falling out. We cut to modern day where Dale is still trying to be a star and relevant, while Chip is accepted his life working a boring office job. Former cast member Monty gets kidnapped by a group who make bootleg animated movies, so the duo has to team up again to solve the mystery and save him. The detective angle of the story has them go to different points and some turns happen, but it isn't groundbreaking by any means. It avoids predictability by having a red herring, that's mainly because it's parodying the whole trope. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm on about. Most of the movie is not taking itself seriously and it's very self-aware. It's critical of the landscape and storytelling, maybe a bit too much. This works a lot for some scenes and parts of the story, but it causes any attempt at a proper story or emotional moments to fail. There's potential for the story between Chip and Dale to work, but it should have just gone for a parody movie. The way the movie is structured also seems wrong for some reasons. The way the movie locations fit a trailer better than in the story. There is such little transition between the second and third act that was very noticeable. The real novelty of this movie is the universe partially being a follow-up to Roger Rabbit. Here there's different types of animation styles living in modern day. Roger Rabbit only takes place in the 1940s. The world has improved. It doesn't do the comparison of Toon's minorities, but since it's in the same universe, there's clearly an improvement since Roger Rabbit. They don't all live in a separated town, and while a lot of them are actors, not all are. This also makes me question how new tunes or new animation style are made in this universe. This film is full of references to Yoda characters that YouTubers have a field day trying to find them all. Most are Disney, but it's not in the obvious way that this was made by Disney. And some aren't owned by the studio, and it makes me wonder if this is really okay. This film doesn't feel corporate. It's just a way to make fun of things involving animation. Ayata even in the background, but it's noticeable unlike Space Jam: New Legacy, where they are buried in the background. Having the bootleg movies tied to the PR also works. However, who thinks Roger Rabbit properly feels like a Yuffie animation by having a lot of respect for the medium? Well, this is a parody that cares about it from a comedic perspective. It isn't bad, but kinda misses that aspect. The comedy shows the pros and cons of pop culture references. On one hand, not all are funny, and it sometimes shows just referencing something isn't funny. But it isn't as bad as the Yar film showing them parts, I don't think the movie is trying to pander to a mainstream audience. It is mostly more obscure and specific to animation, and understand what it's on about. There's something to gain out of Yar this as animation fans, even if it's not that funny. While the comedy isn't great, it easily could have been a lot worse. The film is a live action animation hybrid, but it does it differently. It doesn't blend, but it's not trying to, because they're cartoon characters in universe. Although it is annoying that they sometimes look like they're not standing on the ground. Leo had CG surgery done on him, and this works as a joke and plot point, because it makes sense that will exist in this world. The new design for him is good, but Chip isn't even 2D. There is actual 2D animation used for background characters, but the Rescue Ranger and Peter Pan are CG outlines that look cheap and only works in certain angles. Goes against the whole 2D versus 3D theme they're trying to do. Also, I think the surgery might have been done to differentiate them, because in the flashbacks they look the same. There is probably a low budget with the locations and other problems. All styles are combined here and makes the film interesting. The overly realistic CG is shown, and stop motion with Sweet Pea's character, which the movie makes all use of. The ball is creatively assigned, and it makes you think the low budget might even be intentional. Now the characters. It pains me to talk about Dale before Chip, but he's clearly the main character. He wanted the show, but didn't want to be seen as second to Chip. Dale is the more optimistic one, which contrasts Chip's more realistic and pessimistic attitude, not wanting to even be there. I think both are well characterized here, although when the movie tries to have a serious bond between them, it's at its weakest. Also, Their real voices don't sound like the chipmunk voices, which I choose to say is a good thing. There's a couple other characters who are mostly villains. There are multiple villain characters who I'm neutral on. The biggest thing you have to say is how does Peter Pan aging works? We see a yacht boy from Peter Pan Gate in the movie who hasn't grown. I thought in these universes tunes in age after a certain point. That thing's confusing, and most of the characters are used for comedy, so it makes sense they are one note. That defines the movie as a whole. It's not well written, that's not the goal. It's entertaining to watch and interesting. I wouldn't want this to catch on, but here it works. Other media such as Roger Rabbit does stuff like this way better, but it's not that big of a problem. In conclusion, I give Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 7 out of 10 and would recommend. It's not great, but a good film that I'm glad I watched. I'd say watch the trailer and see if that intrigued you, because this was better than I expected. Not sure the original fans will think of this better being a Rescue Rangers reboot, so keep that in mind. One more thing, this implies all versions of Beau are the same, when the remake Beau is very different. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on this film, the end.